enjoy the show, play on Perjangers.
Welcome, one and all, to another Mattcast. Another Mattcast on the Perjangers and Wallhangers Media Network. You see, mascot, hero, heartthrob, rather, Romeo Marley, hero of time, is sitting off on the couches. But, yeah, man, starting off the Mattcast the same way I used to do, with the First Lady in the background, giggity. No. I wanted to start off with some stuff that I've been watching. Of course, it's a new season starting up in the anime universe. And Dorohedoro, Demons of the Shadow Realm, Dr. Stone, Kill Blue, Witch Hat Altair. Bunch of strong ones out there in the anime market, especially I'm proud of, like I had anything to do with it. I'm happy for, rather. Demons of the Shadow Realm. It's from the creators of Fullmetal Alchemist, and love that anime, especially the new one. Really interesting little plot, start plot. It's not Alphonse and Edward Elric, going off on their merry way. You got one sibling who was isolated in a small little fishing village. And you think it's kind of like, this is, from the past or something like that. It's, out of a modern slice of today. So you got this country bumpkin who had no idea of anything in the modern realm, having to come to terms with this modern life, as well as his sister being a terrorist. So, they have that going for their family dynamic. Pretty odd. Love that Dorohedoro came back after so long. I think Netflix really kind of blew that one up anime-wise, because that's where I first saw it, was that anime was Netflix. And I saw something that said Netflix dethroned Crunchyroll for number one anime streamer. And I got to tell you, man, more often than not, I will watch a lot of anime on Netflix, but I do more often than not go to Crunchyroll. Maybe that's just because I pay for Crunchyroll, but I pay for Netflix too. I go to both of them. A lot of the pirating sites are getting taken down. I think like 7 or 9 of them or something crazy like that. A bunch of them just got taken down. So you still got anime coming out on the normal networks, but talking about animated, Mall Shadow Lords. If you guys have not been watching this one, it's very impressive. I love what they're doing with Mall Shadow Lord. And, a little pet peeve, but it's not Darth Maul. Darth Maul was dethroned at the Clone Wars, okay? Maul is just a dude who got played by Sidious. He got done dirty, chopped in half. His brother got killed. His mother got killed. It's not going good for Maul, in the start of this series. But this is how you see him get to where we do see him in the Solo movie later on. You see that little, bonus scene, end credit scene with Ray Park. I believe it's Ray Park. Actually, being Maul again. But, this animated universe of Maul really kind of expanded this character out, really giving him legs. He's not what he was in the extended universe with the books, but, what book ever is. But this animated version of Maul really allowed the character to fully flesh out. Really impressed with just the overall direction that they've gone to in here. You have the 2 Jedi, Master Dia Uedaki, who's really kind of a puss boy. Maybe when the Force wasn't all clouded in the dark side, he would have, been better. But, you really see why the pink Twi'lek is kind of going towards Maul and being like, man, why am I going to go sit here begging when I got Force powers? And Maul's like, I don't. None of the cool kids do. So you got that going for Maul. Really good. They're on chapter 8, so 9, 10, last two coming this upcoming week on May the 4th. Go figure. A lot of stuff happening with Star Wars. A lot of people wondering where they're going to go forward. Saw some stuff from leakers online saying that their May the 4th celebration is pretty much going to be like Ahsoka Season 2 trailer, Starfighter, the Ryan Gosling movie coming out that a lot of people are excited for. I'm excited for that one. It has no tie to anything Star Wars. It's just, boom, Sean Levy, Ryan Gosling, Star Wars, go. A lot of people are looking at that as a nice jumping point. You have Mandalorian Grogu coming in May, So at this point, a month from now, already out in the theaters, but not a lot of people knew what even this movie was about until now. So, I haven't had a lot of people saying, oh, man, I'm really excited for that. I'm excited for that. But you don't have to go far to find a person who's excited for the Starfighter, So that's kind of a little bit of a tee off into where, Star Wars is going. I just think that they need to focus on the individual story more because you got clouded when you had this whole big 3-arc plot with nobody really driving the bus. You got from A to B, but you can't drive that bus anymore. You drove that thing off-road and for 50 miles. Yeah, it's not going to look good. So, we got that going for us. We got Star Wars coming. Always a little bit of a bonus, But what could be seen as a bonus? Maybe this first story. See, this one's kind of cool. Because scientists confirm the existence of a second layer of atmosphere that nobody knew about. It regulates Earth's temperature. So scientists just confirmed the existence of a previously unknown atmospheric layer sitting at about 70 to 90 kilometers altitude that plays a critical role in the regulation of Earth's surface temperature. The discovery that reveals current climate models have been missing an entire regulatory mechanism from their calculations. Researchers at the European Center for Medium Range Weather Forecast, that is a mouthful, identified the layer using data from 14 years of satellite measurements from the MIPAS instrument on ESA's Invista satellite. Combined with reanalysis from weather balloon networks and 127 stations worldwide, the layer located in the mesosphere between 70 and 90 kilometers, excuse me for being American, in altitude, shows distinct chemical and thermal properties consistent with a boundary layer controlling heat exchange between the upper and lower atmosphere. Most significantly, the layer's thickness and thermal properties vary seasonally in patterns that correlate with surface temperature anomalies. 6 to 8 weeks later, suggesting it acts as a delayed regulator buffering surface temperature changes. So the layer consists of chemically distinct zone where sodium and potassium metal atoms deposited by meteors entering the atmosphere catalyze reactions that convert ozone at a rate previously unaccounted for in atmospheric chemistry models. The resulting thermal effect adds a previous absent negative feedback mechanism to climate calculations that slightly moderates warming trends compared to current model predictions. Climate models will require revision to incorporate the layer's regulatory effect, and the discovery opens a new research into how the mesosphere interacts with the troposphere weather and the climate across time scale from weeks to decades. So, wow. This is from European Center for Medium Range Weather Forecast, European Space Agency, and Natural Geoscience in 2025. But a whole other layer of the atmosphere they didn't even know about, and it helps regulate the temperatures between the two ozone layers with potassium and sodium. Of course, there's salt everywhere. You know what I mean? So with a little bit of potassium and salt in the air, there's that way of handling the temperature changes. It's just absolutely fascinating because that's one thing cool about science. We start off with something old, go into something new, and then I like to go back into something old. But with that new stratosphere, mesosphere, I guess technically, new mesosphere, who dis? Just here regulating the thermostat, sitting down here cranking the thermostat, and there's that extra atmosphere. Like, no, we're going to turn that down. So, there's always regulations. A lot like the regulation of you hanging in for this next story. A surgeon in ancient Peru removed a piece of a patient's skull 1,600 years ago. The patient lived, and the hole was sealed with a gold plate. Centuries later, Incan surgeons had perfected the technique, achieving a 90% survival rate for this earliest form of brain surgery. Archaeologists in Peru discovered a 1,600-year-old skull that underwent a successful surgical procedure. The patient survived the operation, and the hole in their skull was repaired with a piece of gold. Son of a bitch. There's always somebody there like, nah, I can fix that. No. Hand me that knife. Yeah, hold that in the fire. All right, now, here's this piece of gold. Bang it out into kind of make it curve like a skull. Exactly. There we go. We'll save this guy. Look, I'll just cut that out. There you go. He's all good. And there's ways they can tell if, it was successful because, if the skull started to, heal over it, that's a person that lived well after, So that's actually impressive, By the time of the Incan Empire, this type of surgery was, kind of normal. 90% success rate. I mean, Jesus Christ, we'd all be lucky to have that kind of those kind of statistics for anything in this day and age. So, ancient Peruvian or not, that's in some impressive odds. A lot like the odds of this next story. Scientists. We love them, we hate them, but they found a new human organ dubbed the interstitium. Pretty sure I got that one right. The new organ is a network of fluid-filled cavities found everywhere in your body. I tried not to make that sound gross, but there's really no way to tell you that there are fluid-filled cavities all over your body that you didn't even know existed. So, now you got that popping around in your bean cavity. So let me get a little specific here and tell you what the article says. Your body is lined with a network of fluid-filled cavities that until now were unknown to science. The team that made this discovery thinks the cavities qualify as a new human organ, which they've dubbed the interstitium. I'm pretty sure that's right. The new organ was spotted when researchers looked at a live human tissue. That's the key. That's why they didn't know. It's obviously the fluid would be gone when you're dead. They spotted it from the live human tissue with a new imaging technique. Previous methods have mostly looked at the tissue that's dead and drained the fluid, so the cavities weren't visible. The team reports the scientific reports anatomy textbooks may need revising if other researchers agree that the interstitium is, in fact, a newly identified organ. I like that little bit in there. They're hopeful, right? They're not just out there, with banners on the highways saying, new organ! It's, well, let's see if everybody else agrees, but I'm pretty sure we fucking found it. Because it's one of those things that when you're testing something, maybe you're not really adding that in the whole equation. Like, is it a live tissue? Of course it's not alive, you fucking psycho. But now you have a different imaging technique that allows you to capture these images of live tissue so you can better get a good, get a better understanding of it. It's very sci-fi, but it is the way that we find out, yeah, man, no, there's actually this other thing in here that helps move fluids from top to bottom. Who knows what kind of pseudoscience was actually kind of keying in on that, and people have just been waving a crystal over you, maybe. Who knows? But crazy stuff, man, just like the craziness of this next story. Obviously, I'm not a scientist. I just love this stuff. This one comes from Nature Genetics Human Chimpanzee Genome Comparison, Annual Review of Genomics and Human Genetics 2024. Little disclaimer in the front because it says no. Humans did not evolve from chimpanzees. Both share a common ancestor that no longer exists. One of the most common misunderstandings about evolution is the claim that humans evolved from chimpanzees or monkeys, a statement that biologists and evolutionary scientists find precisely backwards. Humans and chimpanzees share a common ancestor that lived approximately 6 to 7 million years ago, a species that was neither human nor chimpanzee. Over millions of years, two evolutionary lineages diverged from this shared ancestor. One eventually producing modern chimpanzees and baboons. It almost looked like it said bonbons for a second, so I had to take a second for my old eyes to catch up. And the other producing the various species of the genus Homo. Just producing all the homos it could, culminating in the Homo sapiens approximately 300,000 years ago. Neither lineage descended from one another. They are evolutionary cousins sharing a grandparent species. The confusion arises from misrepresenting evolution as a linear ladder rather than a branching tree. Modern chimpanzees have been evolving for just as long as modern humans. They are not a primitive earlier version of us any more than your cousins are primitive versions of you. Humans share 98.7% of our DNA with chimpanzees, not because we descended from them, but because both lineages recently diverged from the same source and have not had enough time to accumulate more differences. So it's not that we evolved from the apes. We just had common ancestors, you know. We knew the same people back in the day. We don't hang out anymore, though. Put it into, simpler terms there. But yeah, so we didn't evolve from apes. It was a common ancestor we had. And then life branches diverged. But I like how they say it's not a linear ladder of evolution, more like a branching tree. Have you ever seen trees and how they grow and they kind of get kind of weird and twisty sometimes? So nature repeating itself, just like I'm going to repeat this next story. So the company behind Oreo, Cadbury, and Toblerone are investing in lab-grown cocoa ingredients to support supply and sustainability. So these guys are looking to swap out your chocolate for a synthetic substitute. So what lab-grown cocoa actually is, rather than cultivating cocoa trees, researchers take cells from the Theobroma, yeah, Theobroma. That's how it's spelled. That Theobroma cocoa plant, and grown them in controlled settings like bioreactor tanks. Those cells can generate the same compounds found in traditional cocoa. So this isn't fake chocolate. It's genuine cocoa components produced through a different process. So why the industry is interested, The cocoa faces not cocoa feces. That's different. Cocoa faces several major challenges. Climate change is hitting cocoa farms hard. Prices are volatile and surge lately, and the prices also surge lately. Supply often struggles to meet the global demand. So, if you can't get them their chocolate fix, they're gonna go somewhere else. So we got to keep them off heroin. Give them chocolate. Probably not the direct substitute for chocolate, but got to stop it from happening. So it helps stabilize supply, cut reliance on unpredictable farming conditions, possibly reduced cost over time, though that's not certain yet. The consumer will actually see a price difference there. But I mean, hey man, when you put it like that, climate change, the volatility, and just how hard it is to grow and get all this cocoa, when it is across the world, a very, very popular dessert treat. So being able to just chemically make it in a lab where you can process A to B, you're getting that chocolate. Maybe it does make it cheaper. Maybe it just makes it so that you will always have shelf-stable chocolate on the shelf, Who knows? But I thought that's very interesting how, especially with chocolate, people get very, very religious with their chocolate, So that's where I just had to point that out. The lab grown stuff may not, be an ultimate end all be all bad thing. Like this next story may not be a bad thing. I always like to end off these shows with a little bit of hope. Because in 2022, 3 Nigerian men survived 11 days on a ship rudder, traveling from Lagos to the Canary Islands. And just in case you guys are like, hey, man, how far is that? That is 2,500 fucking miles, okay? 3 Nigerian men survived on a rudder for 11 days and traveled 2,500 miles on a rudder. A rudder. So this happened back in November 2022. The 3 men from Nigeria were found alive after spending 11 days perched on the ship's rudder. They had traveled through dangerous waters and harsh conditions. Some journeys began where the comfort ends. People facing limited choices may accept risks they would never normally consider. Hope can become powerful enough to carry someone through fear, cold, and uncertainty. So 11 days, but they went 2,500 miles, nautical miles, on a fucking rudder. I mean, I don't know what the hell is so interesting in the Canary Islands, but I say you guys, you get it. You get to be there. You literally sat on a rudder for 11 days. That's practically like paying a ticket. It's just through effort alone. Sheer effort. But 11 days on a rudder. My God. I mean, how could you possibly get better than that? Right? Man dies in an explosion after attempting to microwave a microwave. Yeah, no, you heard me right. That's not, you're not having a stroke. I know, 2 weeks right in a row, am I right? But a tragic accident in Columbus, Ohio. I know what you're thinking. That's surprising, right? It's not Florida. I thought it was going to be Florida as well. So now we're all just colorfully surprised. But Columbus, Ohio, has drawn attention to the dangers of experimenting with household appliances. According to local reports, a 32-year-old man died after placing a smaller microwave inside of a larger one during a home experiment. This setup reportedly caused a powerful explosion, damaging the kitchen and triggering a brief local power outage. Holy shit. Investigators say the blast was linked to electrical failure. No way. And pressure buildup. Officials are now reminding people that appliances like microwaves should never be modified or used in unsafe experiments, like microwaving a microwave. I never thought I would actually get to, report on something like this, I mean, being a podcaster for, many years, since like 2012, my God, I have always dreamed of being able to, talk about a fun story like this, like microwaving a microwave. I got to tell you, this is coming from me. Now, I was much younger. I did try to microwave an aluminum foil wrap baked potato. Okay. And I was very surprised at the green flame that came out. But I've never even thought, even in my young, dumb, adolescent brain, that idea never ping-ponged around like, hey, what would happen if we microwaved a microwave? Like the special kind of stupid that had to be going through your mind. And that's the other surprising part about this story. Not just that it didn't come out of Florida and it came out of Columbus, Ohio. They get bored there, so that's not surprising at all. It was a 32-year-old man. A 32-year-old mouth breather was like, hi, I wonder what will happen if I microwave a microwave. And then you cause a brief, that's the disappointing part. Your legacy is a brief local power outage. Not even like you took down the whole, western seaboard. You just inconvenienced a couple people around you, and they're like, hey, what the fuck? See, now I turned back on. No, we're okay. So you could experiment in your little science apartment hut there, microwaving a microwave. My God. You know what this tells me? It's only up from here, gang. Only up from here. That's all I got for you in the little news section of the Mattcast, because, my God, microwaving a microwave, that just kind of breaks the brain, doesn't it? Yeah, a little bit. Still getting over this respiratory illness. I got my trusty drink in my side as we try to pin down the dates for the Delco or Bust screenings. We got some very Delco and very awesome ideas coming out there, so keep your eyes peeled closely to the website and our social medias, so that way you can see where all the proper dates are coming out, so you can come out and support the first documentary. We're obviously hard at work on the second, and we'll let you know what that is in time according. But yeah, we got that going on. A lot more podcasts and things coming out in the future. So the only thing you got to do is just keep your head up there and remember that we love you, we miss you, and we can't wait to see you next time. Until then, game on and drive on, boys and girls. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh my God. Help her. Help her. She needs your help.
The time I actually need your help.
Lick. Lick, motherfucker. Lick.
Pick it up.
Lick it up, and she needs your help, man.
I will never, ever ask you for any help. Fucking hell. Always when oh good, now you start licking it. Come on. Caffeine your ass up.
Here. Wow.
Oh, God, that was a whole other problem. I do this all the time in the most compromising ways, and never has this happened.
I'd say we'll make sure to get you a sippy cup next time, but you had one.
I know, well, look.
How do you... I'm recording, too. I got it all on camera.
Leave it in. Leave it in. Link or Romeo, thank you, but I really don't need you caffeinated.
Foul on the play. First lady. 5 yards.
Not bad.
Repeat, first down. make sure you hit that like and subscribe button so everybody can see the Mattcast. And right here, that's going to be every single Mattcast and playlist. Where right here, that's going to be the very best Perjangers and Wallhangers video for you. And until we see you next time, game on and drive on, boys and girls. Bye-bye.
Bye.